What's up, guys? So I had a couple of trades. I did a couple of trades today. I start with team. So I saw that the stock was getting quite weak in at around the 10 a.m. mark. So at this point, I was watching it for a bit, and I saw that each time it dropped, it sort of had a pullback at around this level, the 94.08 level. So I knew that once it breaks that level, it's going to fall. And what made this more attractive, although I was cautiously attractive, was I missed the opening range breakout and it was just dropping. So I knew at some point it was going to have a pullback. I just didn't really know when, because the shorts will have to cover. However, it got really close to this previous day close level at the 92.89 mark. So if anything, it would probably drop to that level before rebounding. And so when it broke this level, finally broke the 94 level, I took a small position. The spread was pretty high and the stock was kind of volatile. So I took 300 shares. It dropped. I didn't cover anything. And then it sort of bounced back. So that got me a bit concerned. But it was really quick. It bounced back and it never passed this EMA level right here. So when it dropped again, I knew it was going to try to go for the previous day close. So I added 300 shares. And then when it dropped, I covered, and I was hoping to cover on the way down, but it like I said, it was a volatile stock, so it dropped really quickly and then it bounced back up. And so I didn't want to hold a big position and wait for a potential pullback. So I just exited really quickly, and then it did pull back a bit, and then it dropped again, but it never really broke this level. As you can see here, it sort of tried to do a reversal. So when I was watching that, and I saw on the 5-minute here that buying basically the buyers were in control. It dropped and then it quickly got bought back up, and it was going to make a new 5-minute high. I also looked at the 15-minute where it was sort of holding that level. So I figured maybe I'll go for a reversal play here. So I took, I think, 300 shares at this level. And I was going to exit basically if it dropped below the EMA. I gave it a little room, but if it dropped below the EMA, then it would probably plummet again. So took 300 shares, and when it popped, I sold some, hoping that it would continue the trend upwards. But it sort of fluctuated around there, and so I basically exited my position, which was good in retrospect because it fluctuated here, and it didn't really go anywhere, and then eventually it just plummeted like a weak stock would have. So that was my trade on team, but it was not. It was clean, but it was not. It was still kind of stressful because it was bouncing up and down. Even at this 300 level, it's even though I took 300 shares here, it still went up and down, and so you can see I took the share at 93.65, but there's like a 30-cent difference here. So it was not easy to hope through the volatility at that range. So that's one of the reasons why I was pretty quick with my trigger finger, and at the same time, I took small sizes. And then for another trade, State Street. So this trade went pretty well for me. And the reason for this is, let's see what I did for State Street. Okay, so State Street was pretty weak. Sort of held this level until 10:20, and then it plummeted. I missed the plummet, so I wasn't going to chase the stock. And again, it had this previous day close, which I like because the stocks try to aim for that. And when it did this pullback, the pullback also was pretty aggressive. However, I still think it was weak because this was basically the shorts covering, right? So it sold off at the open, and then it sold off some more. So it's like an ABCD. And then when it did this pullback, I was watching to see if it would continue past the VWAP or if it would be just shorts covering and then eventually dropping. But then when I saw that it hit this level and then it continued to drop, that's when I took a small position, I think just 500 shares short. And as it dropped, I basically covered all the way down to this level. And the reason for this is because I anticipated this will happen because this is a very strong support level, the 200 SMA. So when it did that, I covered all my position and exited basically because the spread was pretty bad and it was also a volatile stock. Um, it could have bounced back and then continue upwards. In this case, it was weak, so it dropped again, some coverage, and then it continued to drop past that. Now it's sort of moving back up, but anyway, so that's that. And then SLB is the one that I lost money on, but I'm proud of myself for getting out quickly. So here, it showed that the stock was pretty strong. All the levels were above VWAP, and at this point, when I was entering it, it was at high of the day. So the high of the day at that time was 44.20. It popped up to 44.22. The spread was pretty decent, but I took a small size, 500 shares, hoping that it would continue to go. Usually, what happens is it would, as it approaches high of the day and it breaks free from that, it would make a new high, right? And then continue that upward trajectory. But what happened here was once it made this high, it formed a double top, which can happen. And so that made me nervous when it didn't continue that trajectory. Instead, it dropped. Then usually what would happen then is it would take the opposite route and fall back down to VWAP. So I basically exited and took the $60 loss. So all in all, it was decent. Small positions, 15 tickets, $18. So it was a decent day.